Good morning, good morning, good morning, honey. Good morning. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. But hey, y'all, welcome back. Get into it. So, this is going to be like a little catch up for me, honestly and truly, for you guys to catch up and me to just get a few things off my chest. Whew. I just woke up and I need to make me some breakfast and stuff. But I wanted to come on here and talk to you guys because I feel like, honestly and truly, within these last 2 months, like if you know me personally, you know that my work has dramatically changed. Like it has literally dramatically changed. And that's okay because in a sense it's something that I prayed for and something that I wanted to be in alignment with. And I just want to say the me 2 months ago, the me a year ago, the me 2 days ago, I am not the same person that I was before. We change, we grow, we change, we grow. You develop these new characteristics. You learn these new things about yourself. Every day is a learning curve, whether you see it, acknowledge it, or not. Every day is a transition, and it's either for the better or for the worse. God will humble us so quickly to bring us closer to Him. You need that quiet time. And I'm so thankful for these past 2 months in my life because this has been a very humbling experience for me. And I put my faith in God. This video is about to get personal for me. And it's something that I don't do, but it's been on my heart to say. God will humble us in different experience and different things like in life because He wants us to be closer to Him. He wants us to cast our cares and our worries upon Him. And that was one of my main struggles. Like, I felt like I could handle everything on my own. I had become so lost within myself, had become so lost in this world. And I felt like, why on earth do I feel so heavy? Like, I felt so heavy. I felt like I was walking around with a tractor on my back. Like, I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but I'm telling the truth. Like, it felt so heavy on me within my day-to-day lives, within my relationships, with friends, family, loved ones. And it became too much for me. It became too much because I always felt like I've always been a caring, loving person, but I always felt like I could save everything, save everybody, help and focus on everybody else to try to fix and help them. That it became a norm for me, but that was not how God wanted me to do it. It's different ways of helping people. And the way I was going by it, it was not helpful for me. It was not beneficial for me. It was not healthy for me. And now, me being the me today, like, I'm grateful and thankful I went through those experiences because it taught me so much. It taught me a lot. And with that being said, it taught me so much to the point to where I look at things in life completely different. And I'm like, I can help in many other ways than the ways that I was before. For example, I used to be willing to go for people. I used to be willing to open arms, open my home to people and help, friends and family, because that's what, if you can do it, you do it. I used to go above and beyond for people. Even if I didn't feel like doing things, I would do that for people. And I've come to the point in my life now that I was so focused on helping other people, pouring into other people, my cup was becoming empty. My cup became so empty, it was a drought. Like, it was literally, I felt like it was like a desert to me because I felt so uneasy. I felt so uncomfortable with everything in my life. The way that my life was headed, I was not happy. I was making so much money and I was not seeing it because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have structure. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't have God. I don't mean it like that because I had God in my life, but God wasn't the head of my life. Now God is the head of my life, and that first and foremost before anything in my life, anything and anyone. He is the head of my life. Just a quick little recap because I haven't made a video in 2, maybe 3 years, something along the lines like that. But since I was in my last apartment, and I was beginning to become on this spiritual realm, and I got shaken back. I don't know where, when, or how I lost my focus, but I was on a path, and I just fell off. But I'm not gonna make this video too long. I just wanna give you a quick rundown because this is what God wanted me to say. This is what I wanted to say. And I feel like someone out there may be going through this same situation or similar situation and you just don't know when or how, but pray. All God wants us to do is pray. Talk to him. And I got a little bit, and I'm going to get back into it. So 2 years ago, me making my last video before the recent one that you just saw, but I was just on a different path, and I had lost my job in 2020. I was working from home, I lost my job, and I just did not know. Like, I became so dependent on work. I just was like, work. Just, that's all I knew was to work because I have to pay bills. I like nice things, work. And I came to a point in life where at the time, a friend of mine offered me a position within home health care. And within that position, I was like, I can't be a caretaker. Like, this is not for me. Like, I can't do this. And I found myself doing it, and I became really good at it, and the money was really good. And I did that for 2 to 3 years in the midst of starting my cleaning business. I had a cleaning business, and it was my main focus because it was something that I wanted to do. And I strayed away from it because it became so hard for me because I was tired. I was burnt out. I didn't have a plan. And within me not having a plan, my plan fell through. And so I started to focus on home health care because I was like, I need to pay bills. Instead of trusting and believing in God that he would supply all of my spiritual and natural needs, I became dependent on the money and not on God. That was not right. And you know, God is a God of many chances. He's a God of second chances. And I'm saying that to say that I made home health care my main focus, and I got lost again. I feel like I got lost again because God put me here to help people, but not in that way. I can help in many other ways, and that was not it. I became burnt out. And that's where, fast forward up until 3-4 months ago, and I'm like, I became burnt out, and it was overwhelming for me because watching, if you know, some of you may not know, but working with elderly can be very tedious. And then especially in their last stages, it's a mental thing that everybody's not built for. Everybody's not meant to handle that. but God does not put more on you than you can bear. And within that transition with my last client and working with my last client, I was stressed. I became so uneasy. That's where I felt like a tractor was on my back because it was so much for me. I was working literally 106 hours in a 7-day period. And that's not normal. That's not normal. People work 40 hours in a week, and I'm working 106. I'm working 102 hours, 96 hours on a regular in 7 days. And I found myself one night, because I worked overnight. Of course, I had to, the math is math, okay? And I found myself one night, and I was just like, God, I'm tired. But also, for 2024, my goal was to find a church. I started off in a different church, the Dream Center, and in Atlanta, in Decatur, but I felt like that church, that wasn't for me. I wasn't hearing the message that I needed to hear. And some people love that church, but that was just not my church. And I stopped going, and I was like, I need to find another church. I can't do this. I'm not ready. I just did not like the energy that I felt. I just did not like how my attention span was in that church. And my friend group that we started going to church together, one of the girls mentioned Victory Midtown. And she was like, we should try this church. We should try Victory Midtown. And I was like, okay, I'm open to trying a new church because I have to find something else. This is not it for me. Like, I don't like this. And so I stopped going and picked back up months later, and I started going to church. And I started going to Victory Midtown. And when I started going to that church, Pastor Mo, he was in the book of Revelations. And honestly and truly, I feel like with everything going on now in California, the fires, with the planes, in Ghana, the fires, like, it's so much going on, but God is trying to get us to focus on Him. Like, don't lose your focus on what God has for you. Because whatever it is for you, He has for you is for you. And while me starting back into that church back in September 2024, and fast forward, he was in the book of Revelations for 18 weeks, I want to say. And all the way up until his wife preached on Christmas, the week of Christmas, to close out the book of Revelations. But God spoke to me, and I feel like within that time, I experienced so much, but it was all for me to become who I am today. And during that time, I lost my client. But honestly, like I told you before, I was praying for something better. So always, that's another thing. You have to be careful what you pray for and be mindful and thoughtful of what you're actually asking God for. And I didn't realize that until it happened. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay my bills? And God works in mysterious ways. And it was a previous client that I worked for maybe 2 years ago. And she called me back. And we had a great bond. We are like family. And she called me back, but only for part-time. I lost my focus because I was so focused on, again, how do I pay my bills? How do I? And that was November, the first week of November, actually. And within those months, I was just, within those weeks, I was just like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to survive? And I started just applying to jobs. And I was like, I don't want to be in the healthcare field in this way. I don't want to be working like this. This is taking a toll on me mentally. I prayed for this, and I just have to understand what God has for me. It will be for me. And I started praying more. I started going to church every Sunday instead of every other Sunday. And I made it my mission to be able to go every Sunday. And also during that time frame, I was stressed, I was depressed, I was not happy. I was paying my bills still, but I was so uncomfortable because I'm like, how long or when will I be able to obtain a steady income again besides working a part-time gig with the client to pay my bills? My money began to get low, and I'm thinking like, oh God, this can't be for me. Like, oh no, Lord, I can't. But I started focusing on the wrong things. And that's when it registered in my head. The pastor spoke on one Sunday, trust in God, the full armor of God, and trust the process. I prayed for patience. That's why I say you have to be specific in your prayer, but also know what you're praying for. Because I prayed for patience, and God gave me patience. Regardless if I see it or regardless if I wanted it in that way, I had patience. And I was patient up until 10 weeks. In the beginning 3 weeks, I was focused on find a job. I gotta pay my bills. And I'm like, wait. God said, wait, my child. I am not ready for you to be looking for a job. So I began to sit back, and I'm like, okay, I'll wait, but I came impatient, but I started praying. And I said, God, I only want what you have for me. If you want it for me, then I want it. I don't want anything you don't want for me. I wrote my list out, and I was losing focus of my path, my direction of what I wanted to do. It's so easy to lose your focus. There's just so much going on in the world all around us. And so many things that social media keep pulling our focus and pulling our focus and pulling our focus and pulling our focus. You have to be strong, because in the nick of time, your life can be over. And I'm saying all that to say that I was patient. I began to be humble. I began to take time for myself. You need that quiet time. You need that time with yourself and God alone. No matter if it's in the car, if you have a family, you in the car driving, take that time. Turn that radio off. Talk to God. If you live alone, you have all the ample amount of time. And I registered for college again. So I signed up, and I was like, I haven't been to school in like 4 years. Do I really want to do this? But I'm like, no, I want this. And I felt it. And it happened so fast. I was so nervous. I was like, I'm not going to get accepted. I don't know if I'll have the funds for this. And I'm just like, everything happened so fast. Everything happened so fast. I applied for the school. I sent my transcript. I applied for my financial aid. And I got approved. I got accepted. But you know, God was at the head of my life the entire time. Within that week, the closing week of the book of Revelations, and I kid you not, from losing my client, it had been week 8 now. Yeah, 8 weeks in. It had been 8 weeks in. And I was on a wing and a prayer. But that's all I needed. And I did not know that was all I needed, was that wing and that prayer. And once I got the call, I was accepted in school. Once I got the notification of my financial aid being approved, I had 3 phone interviews that Monday. 3. 2 of them, I was like, okay, I can see myself working for them. I really liked the energy. I was talking to the guy, and I was actually talking to a lady, and we had a good conversation, good talk. And mind you, I have not worked a job. Well, I have not worked a corporate job in over 4 years. And I had to be mindful. I'm like, is this what I want? Because I began to get nervous. But God says, you know, everything happens for a reason, and some things for a season. And I'm accepting every part of this season that God has gifted to me. And that Monday, before Christmas, after those 3 interviews, I was like, oh, I only want 2 of them. And I was like, one of the two. And I'm like, wait a minute. God said, be patient, my child. And I said, wait a minute. I only want what God has for me. And God spoke to me, and I went in for a second interview for one of the jobs. And once I went in for a second interview, the guy was like, I will call you back tomorrow and let you know. Mind you, this is the day after Christmas. And he was like, I will call you. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to find something. But I stopped worrying again. I said, if it's for me, it's for me. And I got the call. I second interview in person that Thursday, day after Christmas. Called me that Friday. Told me I had the job. Told me to start Monday. I did not have to wait 2 weeks. God had that for me. And I'm so thankful and grateful, because this was my first week working with the company, and I love it. I love every bit of it. This was my first week of school after 4 years, and I love it. School can be tedious, it can be stressful, but as long as God is on my side and He is the head of my life, supplying my spiritual and natural needs, that's all that I need. And that's all that I will worry about, being closer to Him. And I'm saying all that to say this because I'm getting ready to wrap up this video. I don't want it to be too extremely long, but I'm saying all that to say, don't give up. Pray and fast. Write down your goals, write down your list. If it does not serve you, if you are unhappy, if you feel uneasy, let it go. Let it go. Life is too short, life is too precious to be unhappy. If you can avoid the consequence of being unhappy, avoid it. Get rid of it. Because you only get one life, and that's this life. But that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some great insight. And more videos will be coming all 2025. Speaking it, manifesting it, praying on it. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. And don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And all right, I'll see you on the next video.